See if this shows up or not.
Aloha, folks. It's Antonio with HypnosisProductReviews.com. Today I have my friend and colleague William Mitchell on the podcast to talk about himself and a conference he has coming up in May. Let's see if we get your face up there. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, the first time I actually learned about you was during HypnoThoughts Hypno Summit. That had to be, I think 2009 it was.
I believe that's right, yes.
2009, and I know that was a huge undertaking for Scott and for Scott Sandlins. I know he did. I helped him on the back end God, that was a lot of work just for the small snippet I did. I think I even worked on your bio, working on everybody's bio, and that was, I know for the small bit of work I did that was overwhelming. I'm sure they pulled it off amazingly well.
Uh-huh.
And then we got HypnoThoughts Live, almost 3 years ago, and the first time I met you was the first one, which was an awesome experience, meeting you and everybody else.
Oh, it was a wonderful event, and that's a great conference they have, really great.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, I know you talked to me briefly before about how you got started. How did you get started in hypnosis and hypnotherapy?
Oh, it's really kind of a fun story. I tell it often at these conferences. My original training is I'm an ordained minister, and I did the usual college and seminary and did graduate work beyond that. And I always did a lot of speaking outside the church on psychological topics. And I literally was flying back from New Jersey to San Antonio, Texas, where I had a large church there. And in the back of USA Today on the plane, there was an ad saying looking for professional speakers and 800 number. So I called them, and they said, hey, we do weight loss seminars, and we use hypnosis. And I said, well, I don't know, that's interesting. And they said, well, let us send you a video. So they sent a video of their weight loss seminar, the part where they talked about what to do to lose weight, and the physiology was fine. So I called a psychologist and went to my church. We had breakfast. I said, well, what do you think about hypnosis? He goes, oh, hypnosis is great. He says, I use hypnosis all the time. He says, it's not a cure-all, nothing is, but don't be afraid of hypnosis. So to make a long story short, they liked me, they hired me, and so the guy that came out to train me had me follow him around for about a week doing these seminars, and then during the day he kind of trained me. And at the end of the week, he said, I think you're ready. Well, I was used to traditional degrees and all that. I said, well, don't you have to be licensed or certified or something? And he made the sign of the cross and said, you are certified. So I went out. That was it. So I went out and started doing these seminars. My first one was in Laredo, Texas, right on the border. I'll never forget. And I'm reading this script, and I look out there, and everybody's just like, boom, they are so deep in hypnosis, they're so hypnotized. And I'm going, wow, this is really amazing. And the way it worked was you did 3 months. We'd start in Texas, and they'd run me all the way up to Minnesota. And then you'd come back and take a few weeks off, and then they'd do it again. And the money was great, but the second time I made the run through, all these people got to come back to the hypnosis seminar for free if they wanted to. And all these people came back, had lost a lot of weight. They really did well. And I went, well, not only is it amazing, it's also very effective. So that's when I decided I had to get more training. So since that time, that was 1997, I just keep taking training after training after training. As a matter of fact, you mentioned a book earlier. One of the people who's been a mentor of mine, Dr. John Edges, is going to be a presenter, one of the keynoters at our conference. But he wrote the book, The Handbook of Hypnotic Phenomenon in Psychotherapy, the handbook of the use of hypnotic phenomenon in psychotherapy. And it's an amazing book, and he's been a good mentor to me, and so he's going to be one of the keynotes there too. So we're going to have a good time. But I got started. I always tell I teach certification now, and I always tell my students the first day of class, I said, you'll know more at the end of this week about hypnosis than I knew for years.
If you don't mind me interrupting you, what I'm going to do, got my bookshelf about 10 feet away. I'm going to go grab that book. If you have a joke or anything in the meantime, or any hypnotist joke, just fire away.
For the people who are older enough,
I'll be back in just a second.
Their hypnotists are always counting. You've heard that, what is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4? Well, in hypnosis, that's Bo Derek getting older. But you have to be a baby boomer to know who Bo Derek is. But anyway, so that's my one little hypnosis joke. I get asked in the church a lot if I hypnotize my congregation And I always joke around about that, and everybody talks about the watch. And you've heard the story about the minister who pulls out the watch, and he's going like this, and all of a sudden the chain breaks, the watch hits the ground and breaks into 1,000 pieces. And he said the word crap, and supposedly it took 2 weeks to clean up the sanctuary afterwards. So, but I always get these people kidding me about the church and hypnosis. So those are kind of my hypnosis jokes.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and laugh at the jokes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you something about church and hypnosis in a second, but yeah, folks, this book right here, the first experience I had with this, I believe Richard Nongard had told me about actually afterwards, and I saw your talk about the Handbook of Hypnotic Phenomenon.
Yes.
And I think, God, it was probably, 2 years ago that I was just happening to be flipping through Amazon, or somebody else mentioned, I picked it up. I haven't gone through the whole book, but it's an excellent book. Goes from, let's see, it's got dissociation, catalepsy, anesthesia, analgesia, I think the word is. Get the book.
Let me give a little pitch for the book. The brilliance of the book is every single chapter is a different hypnotic phenomenon, and every chapter has the same outline. It starts with a description of the phenomenon, like you talked about post-hypnotic suggestion. It describes post-hypnotic suggestion. Then it goes into all the research that has been done on that particular hypnotic phenomenon, which, in like post-hypnotic suggestion, the research is extensive. I'll never forget, I had a college senior, a major in psychology, and he's gone on now and got his master's in counseling, but he came to my certification class. He said, but there's no research on hypnosis. I said, there is lots of research on hypnosis. You just have to know where to look. But this book cites a lot of research. Then the next part is how to induce that hypnotic phenomenon. And then the last part is they give all these examples of how it's actually used in specific transcripts of therapeutic sessions on a wide variety, every single hypnotic phenomenon. So it's really wonderful, and a wonderful book, because you have the history, the description, you have all the research, and then also you have how to actually elicit that phenomenon, and then finally actual transcripts of how it's used in this case, psychotherapy, actually. And that's one thing about our conference. Dr. Edge is going to be presenting there, and we'll be giving CEUs to mental health professionals, but the hypnotists can also sit in, and they get a chance to train with some really high-powered licensed people, Richard Nongard and Dr. John Edgett.
Awesome. Dude, I didn't know, okay, I didn't know Nongard was going to be there, but I definitely didn't know Edgett was going to be there. And was this published by him and his wife? It says John and Janet.
Yeah, she's also a psychologist. Yes.
Yeah. See, just on the front it says hypnotic dreaming, daydreaming, automatic writing, drawing, association. You guys, what I would suggest people do is get this book in preparation.
Yes.
For the conference.
And John will be there the whole weekend, and so there's a lot of opportunities to meet with him, talk with him, and actually one thing we're going to do that's unique is the first time I gave a presentation at the National Guild of Hypnotists back in 2006, 7 people came running up after the presentation, and they offered to pay me to hypnotize them. They all had different issues, and that has happened every time I've gone to a conference. When I speak, people want me to hypnotize them, and I charge them like $100, nothing big. But it's always been awkward because, like, do we go to my hotel room? Do we go to your hotel room? And I have to tell you one about post-hypnotic suggestion if you remind me, but at one of those conferences. But we have a room set aside with a recliner and all the things you need. And if you like any of the presenters that you hear, you can actually have them do a session with you. You do have to pay them, but that'll be part of the conference. You can actually get live hypnosis private sessions done.
Okay, that doesn't happen at too many conferences. I know I wanted to. I think the past 2 years of HypnoThoughts Live, but the problem is that you got so many people and everybody wants to mingle, so that can be a hard thing. But if you've got it set up to where you guys are organizing it for people, definitely take advantage.
And they can make an appointment. We're also going to do some group hypnosis sessions for people who are interested in weight loss, because both Keith Hadrill, who is in St. Louis, and he does group sessions all the time, and then I used to do a lot of group sessions. Between the two of us, we're doing 3 different group hypnosis sessions for weight loss, just to give, because we're also opening up to the general public, to give the general public kind of a taste of what it's like, so that they'll actually find a hypnotherapist they can work with. But you want to hear my little story about hypnotizing somebody after a conference?
Yeah.
I think it was 2010, it might have been 11, but it was right at the end of the NGH conference, and this nurse had gone to my talk and So she wanted me to hypnotize her, and so I go to her room on Sunday morning and hypnotize her, and she'd lost like 30 pounds, but she had 30 more pounds to go, and she was a great subject. We had a great session, and then that evening when the NGH ended at 5 o'clock, a group had invited me to go to dinner, so I met them in the lobby of the hotel, and she was in the group. I didn't know she'd be there, and so I didn't say anything, she didn't say anything. We went to this Chinese restaurant, we ordered our meals, and the post-hypnotic suggestion I'd given her, one of them was, whenever you eat at a restaurant, as soon as the food is served to you, you'll take your knife and your fork and you'll divide the meal in half and you'll only eat half. Well, they brought out the food and she had ordered a big bowl of soup. And she had her knife and her fork and she was trying to be Moses. She was trying to part the waters, you know. And she's working on it. Everybody's just looking at her. And I'm trying so hard not to laugh. I'm like covering my mouth, you know, trying not to look at her, you know. And finally, about 30 seconds later, she looks up and she goes, "You did this to me, didn't you?" I went, "Well, it works good with solid food." So I've now
That's
changed.
great.
I've now changed the suggestion to solid food. I don't say whatever it is because they might have soup.
Only way you could do that.
She did lose the 30 pounds, by the way, because she was at the next conference and she was so excited. And I'm not taking all the credit, but I got her started. I got her off her plateau, you know. So.
You know what's funny? I guess the only way you could do that with the soup is if you went to the freezer, threw the soup in there, took it out, chopped it in half, and then, or you know what would be easier is, actually that's way too much work. You know what would be easier? Just take a bowl and pour half the soup out. That'd be way easier, more efficient.
That'd be easy. But I give that suggestion all the time to my weight loss clients. It works great, and it's a perfect example of, like he says in his book, Dr. Edgett does. It's not like the whole part of hypnosis comes back during the post. That little bitty narrow slice of hypnosis kind of comes back and breaks into the conscious state, and you can kind of see it in their eyes that just for that moment, the little bit of hypnosis has come back. That part of the trance has been reenacted there. And I had one guy. He's kept the weight off to this day. It's been 8 years. But he lost like 40 pounds. He's a business guy here in Springfield, Illinois, where I live. And he invited me to speak at one of his Civic Club meetings, and I gave a talk, and I mentioned that I'd give that suggestion to him, and all these guys came up afterwards, and they said, "We've been to lunch with him. That is so true." They're going, "You can just tell just for a moment. It's like he's back in hypnosis. He's just cutting that in half." And we'll say, "You know you're cutting your meal in half." And he'll go, "I know." He just keeps cutting it in half. But, you know,
it's like an automatic reaction.
It's amazing. It's just instant, too. It's just instant. Yeah. Powerful.
You know, one thing I thought about when we were talking about the how you get that small sliver of the unconscious coming back.
Yes.
I guess it's almost like a record player. You know, if you get a little scratch on the record, it's like you kind of notch that little piece out in time to where the record's going. Then it's a quick little pop back to reality.
Yes. Yes, it's amazing. Yes.
Now, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, but that's what's gonna be fun about this conference is there are gonna be people getting hypnotized, and they may have never been hypnotized before, and they're gonna be also at the same time getting this training and learning. It's gonna be really fun. Really fun.
So like I tell people, and a lot of people mention, the best way to learn hypnosis is via being hypnotized.
Yes. Yes. Do it and have it done to you, both. I mean, just it's like you can read all the books, you can take all the trainings, but there's just something about doing it and being involved in it. You know, it's a very experiential therapy. I mean, I think that's the advantage of hypnosis is it's experiential.
Exactly. Now, this conference coming up, I know it's going to be, what are the dates you said, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd?
Yes, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's very close to the airport, so if you fly in, the hotel has a shuttle bus and all that. We've got an incredible rate at the hotel, $69 a night, and it's a very nice hotel. You get breakfast included, and in your conference registration, we include a boxed lunch because we don't want people to leave the conference going off looking for something to eat. We want them to stay right there because we're giving people during the lunchtime, we're giving people a brown bag talk option. In other words, if they want to stay where the food is and just have a nice quiet meal, they can. But we also have some presenters who are doing some really interesting things during the brown bag lunchtime too. And that way the general public, the professional hypnotists, the licensed mental health professionals, they can all mix together during lunch and hear the same thing. Now, we're going to keep them separate, though, during most of the day. The general public will have their classes. The mental health providers will have their classes, and the hypnotists can go to that too. We're also doing a third track for stage hypnotists and street hypnosis, which I know that's going to put off some of the mental health providers, but let's face it, you know, you'll never get rid of stage hypnosis. It's too much fun and there's too much money in it.
You know, and the thing about stage hypnosis, that I think it was, you know Saul? Was it Saul Rosenberg, I believe?
I know him through the Hypnothoughts, and yes.
I know he. The one I would love to check his book out. What he's mentioned, and a lot of people have mentioned how the vaudeville and stage hypnosis, if it wasn't for them keeping it going, we probably wouldn't have hypnotherapy. We might, but it wouldn't be nearly as big as it is.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, and the stage hypnotists over the years have kept the public interested, and have maintained a certain body of knowledge about hypnosis that maybe the traditional therapeutic community loses from time to time, because there have been lots of people doing good academic studies on hypnosis for a long time, but they're a little small corner of the big field of psychotherapy. And the stage hypnotist, you know, well, I'll be honest, in my clinic, I actually do stage hypnosis. I saw a teacher do a stage show back in 1998, and it was clean, it was good, it was funny, and I just got his business card, called him the next day, and said, hey, I can do hypnosis. Could you show me how to do a stage show? I'll pay $1,000, and I did, and he trained me. We became best friends, and he started throwing me shows, and I did a lot of after proms, and pretty soon corporate parties, et cetera, et cetera. Now I do colleges. But if I do a show within an hour and a half radius of my clinic, I always, if it's an adult show, there's adults there, I always get clients from it, always, without exception, because when they see the power of hypnosis, they go, hey, I'd like to have some of that. I'd like to have some of that. They'd like to experience that. They'd like to use that to either lose weight, stop smoking, overcome fears, go on and on and on. And so if it's done in an appropriate way, I think it can be, for example, I stop and give a very short, very brief explanation of what they're going to see with the post-hypnotic suggestions, and I said, that's the most amazing thing. I don't know if you know this, Antonio, there are 500 psychotherapies today. 500. But,
wow.
Hypnotherapy is the only therapy where you can give a suggestion in a session that'll come back automatically after the session, whether it be a day later, a week later, a month later, sometimes even a year later when the right trigger, the right cue occurs. It's just, and that is the most amazing part to me about hypnosis, and I mention that in my stage shows, and so people go, oh, because I'll throw in, you know, like I did a show Saturday night up in Iowa, and great people, great audience, great volunteers. But at one point, you know, we're just having a blast, and I did the good smell, bad smell. You know, their hair smells good, and they're sniffing each other's hair. Then they have a bad smell, and they're holding their noses. And I said, and I turned, and after I put them back just into the sleep state where they're just kind of relaxed, I turned to the audience and I said, now, folks, you've seen this. Is there any doubt I can help you quit smoking? Is there any doubt, you know? I mean, for one thing I do with my smokers, I give them the olfactory hallucination where they're unable to smell cigarette smoke. And that helps tremendously, see.
That's brilliant. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, because they all have friends or family who are smokers. And so I give them the suggestion that people can blow smoke in their direction, and it has zero temptation, zero effect upon them, zero.
You know, one thing that you had me think about was talking about how stage hypnosis has definitely helped the therapeutic, or the hypnotherapy, a therapeutic application of hypnosis. It seems like it can be a double-edged sword. One is when people in the audience, they know you're doing hypnosis, and they think that and we know that you don't actually have control of people.
Right.
But they actually see it as you have supreme control over these people. So I think automatically they think, okay, they can imagine their problems being taken care of. I think on the other end, being a double-edged sword, is they're expecting you to go there and be like, boom, magic. Your
right.
problems are solved.
I like the expression of the idea that for weight loss and smoking, the client comes in and they expect the hypnosis to be mental liposuction, where they just suck it out of their brain.
Yeah.
And just, you know, take it away. But you're right. That is the one negative about stage hypnosis you have to work to overcome, is that the hypnotist is not in control. The hypnotist does not have the power, because unfortunately, the way most stage hypnosis routines are built, mine included, is it makes the hypnotist look like they have really a lot of power over the people. But they've got to remember, they only have as much power as the subject will let them have, because I've done shows where I've given someone a post-hypnotic suggestion, and I can tell by the look on their face when I'm giving them a suggestion, they don't want that suggestion. And I've seen where if they don't like it enough, they won't do it. I mean,
I've had that happen to me.
Yeah, they have the ability to resist.
Yeah, the first time I think the second, third or fourth time I was hypnotized in my life. First couple times, actually, I'll tell you the story. It's kind of funny. The first couple times were just by friends, and then you know Kevin Lapine, right?
Yes.
We're both from Michigan, and he hypnotized me at this old speakeasy. There was a speakeasy that was converted into a bar called Cliff Bell's.
Uh-huh.
He had hypnotized me. I think his shows they border adult, but nothing too severe. Sure. I think it was something along the lines like you're a male dancer or something. At that point, I was like, no, because I don't like putting myself that much in front of people. I was like, no, It's funny. I think I'm one of the few Mexicans that didn't get the Latin dancing gene. I cannot dance.
You lived in Detroit too long.
Exactly. You know what I was going to say about the first time when I got exposed to hypnosis that I can remember. I was at my great grandma's house, and clear as day, there was a bookshelf, and I picked up, I believe it was Dave Ellman's Hypnotherapy, and I think I was maybe 6 or 7. I was that young, and I've told this numerous times on podcasts. I went home. I remember I'm reading I've always been an avid reader. I'm reading the book, and I remember thinking, like, wow, look at all this power. It's amazing what you can do. So I didn't have anybody to test on, so I'm sure my parents would be like, yeah, whatever, 6-year-old trying to hypnotize me. So I took my stuffed animals. I sat there, and I think I even did the whole watch thing, and they were all somnambulists.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, that story's been repeated over and over.
I think one reason I relate to my clients so well is I can understand their skepticism, because I think I would have been the same way. And until you see or until you experience hypnosis, it really is hard to imagine. But as you know, there is a thing called trance logic. And once you sort of understand the logic of trance, then it all starts making sense. And then you begin to see it as a tool or a technology that can be applied to many, many people to help them do self-improvement. And that's one reason at this conference we want the general public to come too, and we're opening the doors so that they might get a more positive understanding of what's going on in hypnosis, meet some of the hypnotherapists that are local. About half of all the presenters are going to be local hypnotists, very, very close to that area. And then the other half, like Richard Nongard, he's coming up from Tulsa, and we've got people coming from Nebraska. We got people coming from northern Illinois up in Chicago. We've got people coming from Arkansas. So we've got about half the presenters. They're still in the heartland part of the United States, but about half the presenters are coming from a good distance, and the other half are right there local. So if people are looking for a hypnotherapist, of course I always tell people like you on the internet, if they'll start doing Skype sessions, doesn't matter where they're from.
Exactly. Now let me ask. So it's going to be May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. How long are the days going to be typically?
We'll start at 9, and they'll go till 6. They'll go to 6. Now, the last night, on Sunday night, one of the big stars we're bringing in is Salish. I don't know if you've known Salish. He's one of the biggest stage hypnotists.
Awesome.
He's awesome. He's great. He and I have become very good friends the last couple of years, and he's going to be teaching. And on Sunday night, he's actually going to do an end of the conference stage hypnosis show. And then he's also that weekend in Illinois, Missouri, in that area, Iowa. That's a big after prom night. So a lot of the hypnotists will be there. I've gotten them shows in the area, and they'll be going out that night and doing shows. And Salish is going to do 2 shows on Saturday night, and people can actually go and ride along and watch his shows if they want to.
Now, where's Salish from? Is he from Alaska or Manitoba?
Well, he was originally Canadian. He's Canadian, and but he now lives in the San Francisco area. San Francisco. But he's originally Canadian. Yes.
I remember he was out here, I think sometime last year. I'm not friends with him on Facebook. I just always happen to miss him.
Yes. Oh, he's a tremendous hypnotist, yeah.
Is he, he looks, is he East Indian, but he looks like he might be First Nation.
Yeah, he's East Indian, and his parents were, I think, from India, and then they immigrated to Canada. And but he's pretty much North American. I mean, he really is. And now his wife is Indian, and they still maintain some of the cultural things, but he's very, very Americanized, and I really enjoy him. I think he's a really kind, sensitive person, even though he does some pretty out there stage hypnosis shows.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's funny. He's a yeah, that's a big mix. An East Indian that's northernized with a Canuck accent.
Exactly.
And where's the part, eh? Now, for this conference coming up, oh, I'm sorry, I love Canadians. They're some of the most easy people to get along with and great humor.
A lot of great comedians and hypnotists come out of Canada. Yes.
And they always say sorry. They always apologize for something, even though if you did it.
That's true.
No, how much is this conference for the 3 days?
Oh, it's a bargain price. We have two early bird prices. The early bird by March 1st, if you register on the website, which is heartlandhypnosisconference.com, it's $197 for 3 days, and that includes 3 lunches. Now, if you register by April 1st, it's only $247, and if you wait till the day of, you come in all during April, or wait till the day of, May 1st, it's $297. So no matter when you register, it's very economical. It's a bargain price. The hotel, we got a special deal with the hotel. See, I do all my trainings in St. Louis at that hotel, so they're letting our people stay there $69 a night, which includes breakfast. And it's just, and let me tell you, the hotel staff, I would put them up against any hotel, no matter what ranking of stars, and they're very friendly. And we have hypnotized during our trainings about half of the hotel staff. So they know us, and they like us, and they've been hypnotized, because we like to get volunteers from outside the class to come in and get hypnotized by the students. I do let the students hypnotize each other a little bit, but I really like them to hypnotize people who've never been hypnotized. I think it's just a more authentic experience.
Exactly. So you don't get, they talk about, about the Anthony Robbins effect. You go to a seminar, you get all these techniques, but the people you're hypnotizing within it's a different context, because the other people, they're playing a role.
Yes.
It's different when you hypnotize somebody that's outside of the role, where they don't know what to do.
And especially where you need to explain to the person before you hypnotize them what's going on. I think that's a valuable part of the learning, because you really have to start at square one, and and then of course do the interview. And of course, as you know, with your experience, a good intervention always flows out of a good interview.
Exactly.
So if they're doing the explanation, the pre-talk, doing the interview, then doing the session, and then they see these people go deep in hypnosis, they're going, wow, what a great experience for students, see? Then they leave the class when it's all over with some confidence.
Now, I want to ask you, so it's let's see, again, May 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Is there any way you can give me a brief breakdown about what people are going to experience on each day?
Yes. Matter of fact, on Friday, in the professional practice track, we have 3 tracks. The professional practice track, it'll be Dr. Richard Nongard, Dr. John Edgett, and they'll be teaching for 6 hours, basically on skill building, hypnosis, Ericksonian techniques on hypnotic phenomenon, like we talked about, and hypnotic suggestion. And Richard Nongard's great. I mean, he can. I wonder if there's anyone who has more books now on hypnosis than Richard. I
don't know. He's got quite a collection.
He's prolific. He's on Amazon. He's great. And Richard is a licensed marriage family therapist, very qualified. But Richard and I, we met back in 2006 at the National Guild of Hypnotists convention, and we just hit it off. Richard has a ministry background too. Did you know that? Yeah. I
think I remember him saying something about that.
Yeah, we just had a lot in common right from the very beginning, and I've just always liked Richard, and I really appreciate his professionalism and he gets right to the point. And so he'll be teaching too. And then later that evening at 4 and at 5, we have a couple other people teaching, and one is one of my former students. He has a master's in counseling now, and he'll be teaching on incorporating cognition and hypnosis into modern day treatments, which is basically talking about treatments like cognitive behavioral therapy, which, by the way, if you take hypnosis and combine it with cognitive behavioral therapy, it almost doubles the effectiveness of cognitive behavioral therapy. It really adds to the power of cognitive behavioral therapy. And so he'll be talking about that.
That brings up a good point. How people talk about using NLP, but using NLP within a hypnotic trance, you've got the the trance logic, it makes it that much more powerful.
Oh, and I so agree. Because when you really have someone who's a great subject and you really have some significant depth, they are so much more responsive to suggestion. It speeds everything up. Matter of fact, William Kroger in his book Clinical Applications of Hypnosis in Medicine, Dentistry, and Psychotherapy, he says in the introduction, he says most psychotherapy looks like hypnosis in slow motion. And I've always loved that quote because it's really true. Hypnosis speeds up the whole process. It just happens faster.
It's kind of like I explain hypnosis almost like a magnifying glass. It just takes your experience and magnifies it. It's almost like the glue that can bind everything together.
Yes, because it's so experiential, like we talked about. They're really experiencing it. They're not just talking about it. They're feeling it. And as you know, if you experience something in hypnosis, it's like it actually happened. It really feels so real. So if you take someone back in an age regression and do some healing work with them, when they come back, it's like a huge change has occurred. And the same thing with, by the way, we doubled the amount of weight lost after one session in all of our clinics. I had 4 clinics in Illinois at one time. And we simply moved the future progression in the first session. We moved it from the end of the session to right after the induction. And it just immediately doubled because people, the first thing they experienced after the induction was they experienced a future progression where they really felt they were the right size and weight and shape and all that. And then you said, and now you're going to eat vegetables, and now you're going to exercise. And they're going, yes, yes. It's like that NLP yes say, you know.
Yep.
Because the hypnotic phenomenon of the future progression is so powerful. Now, but at the same time those classes are going on with Richard Nongard and Dr. John Edgett, we're going to have the stage hypnosis classes, and we've got Salish teaching that day. He's going to do the first class he's teaching is do an effective induction for a hypnosis show. Well, if you're starting out in hypnosis, you want to learn how to do an effective induction in front of a crowd, that would be the class I would go to. If you've ever seen his show. Yeah, if you've ever seen his show, he gets them deep enough within 5 minutes to do a full show. He does a combination. You talked about hypnotherapy and Elman. He does a combination of Elman and a couple other techniques, a lot of fractionation, and in 5 minutes, they're deep. Matter of fact, I'm gonna probably step out and go to that part because I want to speed up my induction when I do my shows a little bit too.
They're not rapids, right?
They're not rapids. This is a traditional induction, but it's like an Elman with the eye open, eye closed 3 times.
The thing I like about Salish is he's got a very big I don't want to say ego because it's not a big ego, but a very big almost persona about him.
Oh yeah, he looks like the genie that jumped out of Aladdin's lamp.
Yes, he does. Almost like Sinbad. He's got that big smile with those kind of menacing eyes, but good eyes. Like something about him. When you look at him, he grabs your attention.
Right. You want to hear how I met Salish?
How's that?
I decided to break into the college market doing my hypnosis shows. And so I was giving a showcase at what's called APCA, the Association Promotion of Campus Activities, and it was a national conference in Atlanta just a couple of years ago. And Salish is a big deal in those circles. I mean, he got Performer of the Year a couple of years ago. He'll probably get it again this year. And I was really nervous because I had never done much in the big college circuit. You know, I'd done some college shows, but not like this. And there was a lot of talent there too. A lot of people doing showcases, a lot of talent. And right before the show, I'd never met Salish. He came up to me, and he could not have been nicer. He says, "Hey, good to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. You'll give him a great show." And he was super encouraging. You know, I was not perceived as a competitor. I was not perceived as any kind of threat. And I'm not a threat to Salish. I'm not a competitor, really. He's at one level. I'm at another. But the point is, there are a lot of people in the hypnosis game, as you know, that they're not so kind to the people that are new.
Yes.
As he was. And the other person who was like that was a young guy named Chris Jones, who's quite a phenomenon in the college circuit too. And I've become good friends with both of them. But Salish and I have just really hit it off. And matter of fact, we're going to do a certification training in July in St. Louis together. And I've already got an MD signed up. I've already got a couple nurses signed up. And that'll be July 13 through 19. And that'll be a National Guild of Hypnotists certification class. But Salish is going to teach it with me. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But also, yeah, we've got some really good, strong stage classes coming up, and then the third class, all the classes are going to be going on at the same time: professional hypnosis, stage hypnosis, and then hypnosis sessions for the general public. And I'm excited about the general public showing up. I think it'll be great. And matter of fact, I had a clinic until I closed my clinic in St. Louis in September. I had a clinic in St. Louis, and I'm going to email all of my past clients and really, make it attractive for them to come. And so, because I hope that they'll come and experience hypnosis, because you know how it is. Once they get the bug, they'll want to get trained.
Exactly. I think and you're probably going to agree with this, how a lot of people get into hypnotherapy is they might be depressed, they might have personal issues, they learn a couple techniques. Like, wow, I remember I used fast phobia cure myself. I got rid of my fear of snakes. It took me, it's funny to say that it took me a long time. It took me half an hour, which is still not that much time. I remember we were
in phobia work, if you help someone in 5 sessions, that'd be fast.
Exactly. I remember we were driving. I've got a really vivid imagination. But I remember my sister we're in Detroit. She was at Detroit. We're at Belle Isle. It's kind of, well, a lot of people go for picnics. We drove from there to a bar she worked at, and I remember I did the session, and then I didn't test the. They always say, in NLP, tote, test, operate, test, exit, I believe.
Uh-huh.
I didn't test the work I had done until I was hanging out at a friend's house. We're having a couple of beers, and he had a python. And I asked him, like, hey, do you mind if I grab your snake? And he's like, yeah, go ahead. And I remember I picked the snake up, and I started laughing hysterically, almost
really?
like, because I was just laughing hysterically, almost like I've gone bonkers. You see somebody that's laughing hysterically, you're like, wow, has he lost his mind? My friend looked at me. He was worried for his snake. He's like, "You're not gonna hurt my snake, are you?" I'm like, "No, I just haven't held a snake in 27 years." Yeah, but yeah, no snakes were harmed in the making this podcast or that memory.
That's good. But that just shows how hypnosis speeds everything up. In a psychotherapy situation, that would take session after session after session. You know what I mean? That's amazing. That's an amazing story. We've got several big stars that are going to be at the Heartland Hypnosis Conference, but here's what I want to tell people. There are some people who are going to be stars that are going to be there. And I know them, and I've heard them speak, and for some of them it's going to be the first time at a conference they've ever spoken, but they're going to be something. I mean, we've got a lady named Michelle Madison, and she's not a total newbie to hypnosis at all, but she hasn't done a lot of presenting, but she has a whole program where she uses hypnosis and NLP training to work with hairdressers on how to improve their business. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's kind of conversational hypnosis, and it's all about how to make the person feel comfortable, and then how to kind of upsell them toward better and better products and things. And the name of hers is the Hypnotic Business of Beauty and Niche Markets. And really, everything she's teaching, you could take out of the beauty industry and you could apply it to almost any other business. Because it's basically sales. But it's sales in a way that's ethical. It's not manipulative, but it is persuasive in a positive way. And she's an example. Another guy, he's out of Jefferson City, Missouri, David Newman. He's done some amazing work with ADHD and ADD, and really good work. And he has a lot of academic credentials. He's one of these guys that I think when people hear him, they're going to go, wow, I mean, where did this guy come from? Because as you know, there's so many people out there doing great work that nobody knows about. And they're kind
except with inside of our community. That's the problem. People outside the community need to learn about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got several people that are I've got Kevin Lawton coming. He's a licensed drug and alcohol counselor, and he uses hypnosis his practice. He's outstanding. He's in my area, and I've referred many people to him. And of course, nobody bats 1,000, especially with drug and alcohol. But he has done some great work with people I know personally that really needed help, and I'm excited he's going to be there too. And we've got some really fine practitioners, and it's gonna be one of my former students, Mike Hopkins. He's out of Dubuque, Iowa. He's doing a whole presentation on how to get your foot in the door in the medical community, and he's done a great job of getting in. He's working with oncology cancer patients up in Dubuque, and these are people that nobody's heard of. But when they go to their workshop, they're going to go, wow, this is good stuff.
This person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're actually doing what they're talking about. One person, out of Little Rock. She's gotten Hypnotist of the Year 7 years in a row in Little Rock, but she's never presented at a conference.
No, please tell me that there's more than two hypnotists in Little Rock.
I think there are.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
But you know what she does is she does television ads in Little Rock. Well, if you know Arkansas, if you do an ad in Little Rock, that ad goes over the whole state. I mean, it covers the whole state. So she gets people driving in from, you know, all corners of Arkansas for Stop Smoking. She's a real Stop Smoking specialist, and that's what she's going to be talking about. Now, I'll be honest with you, she charges almost $400 for one session of Stop Smoking. But hey, if you quit smoking, it's more than worth it. And let's face it, they ask her, why do you charge so much? She goes, well, you know, you saw the TV ad, right? And they go, oh, yeah, that's how I found out about you. I said, well, do you know how much those cost?
Yeah.
You know, but this will be the first conference she's ever presented at. She's a beautiful woman. She's very accomplished. She has an MBA, so she's a good business person. But she's an excellent hypnotist. I mean, an excellent hypnotist. So that's an example of there's a diamond nobody knows about, but boy, it's going to shine at the conference, I'm sure.
That's great. And the what is the website address so everybody can check the conference out? Oh,
thank you. It's Heartland, like heart and land, hypnosisconference.com. And I know it's a mouthful, but that way people can remember. Just think middle of the country, Heartland, Hypnosis Conference, and it's being sponsored by William Mitchell Events. I have a company where we put on events, and so if you also pull up William Mitchell Events, William Mitchell and then .events, that'll come up too. It'll come up that way too. But HeartlandHypnosisConference.com, and it's very affordable. And you know, when you think about what it costs to go to any of these other conferences, it's really a bargain. I mean, you know, to go to a lot of the conferences I go to, by the time you do the hotel, and the hotel is usually like $125 to $150 a night. And by the time you do the hotel and the travel, you know, you're into $1,000. You know, you're into $1,000. Yep. And not to mention the money you didn't make while you were away.
You know, I was going to say, everybody that's watching this podcast out of my, say maybe 500,000 viewers, I wish, if you look above this video or below this video, if you're on my blog post, hypnosisproductreviews.com, you'll see a link. It'll say Heartland Hypnosis Conference. Yeah, heartlandhypnosisconference.com, there above or below. And for anybody that is, I guess, on the fence about signing up, how can they ask you some questions? Is there a phone number or an email Absolutely. They can get a hold of you with?
Absolutely. This number will work in every state except New Jersey, because there's some company in New Jersey that is one digit different, and I got so many calls for this company I had to block New Jersey. But it's 800-662-3040, 800-662-3040, and you're welcome to call. You can also email me at hypnosisclinic. This is the long email, but hypnosisclinic@sbcglobal.net. Now that tells you I've been in business for a while, because SBC is Southwestern Bell Company, and they don't even exist anymore. I still have the email.
It's been around for quite a while.
Been around for a while. I've been in business for a while. So, and that's one thing I tell people I train. They would say, why should we train with you? I said, well, because some people train, some people do, and I actually do it, and I've actually made a living doing it, and I can show you how to make a living doing it, because it doesn't do any good to be able to help a lot of people if you can't stay in business.
Yeah.
It's just like your podcast. People have to realize there's a value there, and there needs to be some compensation there too.
Oh, yeah, I like your idea. So everybody that likes this podcast start throwing me checks.
Yeah, donations.
You know, it's funny about with you being a pastor.
Yes.
I guess not funny, but with you being a pastor, you know, there's a lot of people in the healing arts that say, I'm doing God's work. I shouldn't charge money. I'm sorry. God would want you to be able to pay for everything.
Well,
you can't help anybody if you don't make money.
That's a great point, Antonio. And even the Apostle Paul dealt with this in the New Testament. He said he basically said the worker is due his pay, meaning the ministers, the people who are serving the church, and the church has always understood that, you know, there are some healers, there are some leaders, there are some pastors that they have set aside this time that they normally would make a living to do the Lord's work, and so they need to be compensated. And the same is true for hypnotists. You know, there's a lot of things you could do. There's a lot of things I can do other than hypnosis, but if you want us to help you with hypnosis, we've got to be able to make a living at it.
Exactly. And keep in mind, folks, the conference early bird is before March 1st. You said, right?
Yes.
$197 is not bad at all. Like I tell, think about it. Let's see, if you've spent more than $1,000 in the past year, this conference is going to be worth at least $600 to you. At least $600, and it's only $197. It's a steal right there.
Most trainings I go to where one person is teaching for one day is more than the $197.
Easily.
Almost all the one-on-one, the trainings where you'll have 30, 40, 50 people in the room, it's more than $197. So we want this to be a conference that brings people together, especially in the heartland, and people can come from anywhere. We don't care where you come from, but we want this to be a conference where, money's not the reason you can't come. We want this to be affordable. We're not trying to make a lot of money on it by that, obviously. And the truth is, I probably won't make money this year. We'll probably lose money, which they did the HypnoThoughts Live the first year too. They lost money. That's pretty normal. And so, but we want it to be close to break even. But at the same time, if you invest in your education, whenever I go to a conference, if I get one or two things I can take back to my practice, I feel like it was well worth it. Well worth it. Not to mention the friendships and the connections you make is just like, when we've met and these other people like Salish, and you start talking about how you meet these people, those relationships, think how much good information. For example, Richard Nongard, I met him at NGH in 2006. I can't tell you how many times I've just picked up the phone, called him. One time he answered my phone call to ask a question. He was in the Philippines, and he took my call.
Yeah.
Just giving free, valuable information from one colleague to another, one peer to another. And that kind of spirit is really what makes these conferences such a joy to go to. This is not going to be the conference where, I'm better than you and my technique's better than yours. And this is the kind of conference where we're there to share and have some collegial relationships and really build up the whole profession of hypnotism. And I think it is a profession, just like I'm in the ministry, which we think is a profession too. And there are professional standards, and everything that will be done there will be done in a very professional way, I promise you.
Great. So everybody watching this podcast, let's see. I'm recording this. It's February, 24th, I think?
Yes, sir.
Wow, is it already? Wow, this month has flown by.
Yes.
It's February 24th, so by the time you see it, it's probably going to be the 25th, maybe?
Yes.
You only have a couple days left until the price cranks back up, so get signed up for it as soon as you can. Heartland Hypnosis Conference above or below.
Yes. And hey, we'll have to have you come. We'll have to have you come in the future. One of the future conferences, do a presentation too. That'd be great.
Oh, I would love to, but I don't know if I'll be able to wear my Aloha wear with a freezing cold weather.
Well, in May it's a little better here. The Cardinals will be playing baseball then. Matter of fact, they're in town that weekend. Matter of fact, we're telling some people, make this a work vacation. A workcation they call it. Bring your family. They have one of the best zoos in the country, and it's free. There's no admission cost. We have one of the best parks in the country. Matter of fact, Forest Park in St. Louis is 3 times the size of Central Park in New York City, and it's an amazing place. Yeah, it's 3 times the size of Central Park. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful place. We have one of the best art museums in the country, and we have lots of great things in St. Louis. It's really a gem there in the central part of the United States. Plus, if you're a big baseball fan, the Cardinals are playing that weekend at home, so some of the people will be going to the games, and there'll just be a lot of fun. The hotel is actually, I'm not a gambler myself, but it's located actually in between 2 gigantic casinos, and just down the street from the hotel is a Dave & Buster's amusement place, so you can take your kids and they can have a blast. So there's all kinds of stuff to do for the family as well.
I've got a funny story about Dave & Buster's. I can't believe I'm saying this story here. Me and my girlfriend went to Dave & Buster's. I want to say it was probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I had quit drinking for a while. I probably didn't drink for about a year. And I don't know if you drink at all, but I hadn't drank in a while. Even if you have a couple beers, you just naturally have to go to the bathroom. But
Right.
This Dave & Buster's, the bathroom, the signs for the bathrooms are way above at the top.
Yes.
So I had a couple beers. We're on vacation on the next island over. had a couple of beers, and they were really tall beers. And at one point, I had to go to the bathroom real bad, so we ran to the bathroom, and I had been there earlier. But I remember this one time, I had to beeline. I had to go so bad. I ran in the bathroom, didn't even look above. I get in there, and you can see where this is going. I'm standing in the stall. I'm going to the bathroom, not at the stall, but on the inside. And I look down, and I'm like, why is there a tampon wrapper on the ground? As soon as I said that, I was like, I just thought to myself, I'm like, oh no. I open the door, I peek through, and I see these girls in there. I was like, oh, I cannot believe I just did this. So I waited until the bathroom cleared out. I tried to run out, and there was this fairly tall and the heavier set woman. I felt so embarrassed. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. As I run out of the bathroom, I'm laughing hysterically, red in the face. My girlfriend's almost on the ground, almost peeing on herself laughing.
Hey, it takes a real man to tell that story.
Oh, that was bad. Anytime that night afterwards, I would actually walk up. I guess it was a post-hypnotic suggestion. I'd walk up, and I get that fear in me, so I'd look up, and I'm like, oh, okay, men's. Don't do that again.
Great story. Great story.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah, so hey, folks, that's how effective post-hypnotic suggestions are. I had the fear of God put into me. So, hey, it was great getting it. Yeah, everybody's getting a good laugh out of that one.
You got to enjoy that.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been a great podcast, and everybody that goes to the conference, do me a favor, let me know how much fun you had.
Oh, thank you for having me as a guest and helping me get the word out about this fun conference. And we're hoping to be an annual event, but this is our first year, and it's an exciting year. And believe me, the people that come the first year, I'll always have a special memory of those people, and I look forward to making some new friends, and I hope some of you will be among those new friends. Thank you, Antonio. You have a great thing going here with these podcasts, and I appreciate you doing me the favor and letting me be a part of it.
Oh, it was a blast. I always love getting to catch up with people. Everybody, Sign up, and we will talk to you guys soon. Aloha.